Hi, you are watching With the Contest Queen, where the winning begins, with myself, Carolyn Wellman, and I have Mike Kelly with me. He is the author of The Cynical Winner, the definitive guide to winning radio contests, is my guest today. Before we talk to Mike, let me tell you about what we are giving away on this episode. For this show, Mike has generously donated a copy of his book. Yay! To win this prize, you have to stay tuned to the end of the show, and I'll tell you how you can enter. And remember, all the URLs that we talk about in today's show will be posted below, okay? So all the links will be there. Well, welcome, Mike.
Hi, Carolyn. How you doing?
Good. I'm so excited to have you here. I love having fellow authors because I'm so passionate about teaching winning, and so are you. Because not only we are the same. You're a radio contest expert, you are an author, and you are a habitual winner.
I try.
You try. I know. So you have to tell us, why did you write this particular book?
Well, it wasn't my first book idea. In fact, I had been, still am, working on a previous book that's been years in the making. My current professional accolades are more in the fitness health field. I'm known as a cynical trainer if anybody wants to follow me on Twitter, @cynicaltrainer. But I've been working on a book to deal with the obesity epidemic in a different light, along with a former prophet, Queen's University, to just tell people about what the problem is and how to address it. When I got to a point with some 200 pages written where I was just hitting writer's block, and I called my editor one day and I said, listen, how can I get past this? I've been stuck for a month. She said, well, take a break. And I took a break, went back to it, still writer's block in mind. Talked to her again. She said, well, listen, why don't you take a real break? Why don't you write something else? And I said, what? She said, write about something you're really good at. I said, well, I am. I'm writing the fitness book. Well, is there anything else you're good at? Well, yeah, it sounds a bit hokey, but I'm really, really good at winning radio contests. You know, at the time, upwards of over $250,000 worth of things. So she said, well, that's it. And I said, well, come on, let's get real. How many pages can that possibly be? 1 or 2 pages? She said, you'd be surprised. And what she told me was that people that are inherently good at something do things without even knowing the knowledge base behind it or the steps or the processes involved. So, you know, lo and behold, over 100 pages about how to win radio contests. And that's
what I find amazing is my book is just over 200 pages, like 220 pages or so.
You win the prize today.
And I have a chapter. I do have a section in my book on winning radio contests, and I have a fair number of tips. You've taken that and blown it out into a whole book, which is amazing to me that you've done that. So
should make it worth the read, hopefully.
Oh yeah, I've ordered mine. It's gonna come.
Oh, cool.
I have to know.
All right.
Inquiring minds want to know.
I'm letting the cat out of the bag.
So, you know, what obviously it's for radio, but the main purpose of the book, what do you think the readers will be most interested in learning about for this, you know, your particular niche? You're like a niche. You're not just contests, but you're just radio contests.
And there are some aspects to it that would transfer over to other domains and so on. You know, I talked briefly about lotteries. I talked very briefly about sweepstakes, but you know, that's your domain. But some of the general concepts might translate over. But the purpose of the book, it's really simplistic. At the end of the day, it's all about one thing, and that's improving your odds. There's no guarantees in life, but if you can improve your odds over time, you stand a better chance of winning than those who have not improved their odds. And think of the demographics, the size of the audience. There can be anywhere from 100 people listening to Hicktown Radio at 3 a.m. to several 100,000 listening to Chum FM in Toronto at any given time for a contest. But out of that batch of people, if you have more in the way of odds going for you than someone else, the chances are better. And that's as simple as it gets. So the book is, it's a systematic approach to actually doing that.
Oh, perfect. So where does the cynical come in? Because I don't think of myself as cynical.
Right.
As a winner.
You you'll get there as you age, just inherently. Okay. But I received a letter several months ago from the government telling me I was eligible to claim CPP. In Canada, that's our pension plan. I have no intent in doing that, and hopefully I won't have to do it for decades. But it reminded me that I am getting older. And as you get older, what is wisdom? It's someone who's made a lot of mistakes and learned from them. I'm very cynical about things if they aren't done as efficiently as they can be. And similar transfers to the winning world. But from a contest perspective, my cynicism comes about from the fact that it's all about money. Don't kid yourself. The radio contest people are not giving away money and prizes to you out of the goodness of their heart. It is all about money. The simplicity comes down to the fact that the bigger the prizes, the bigger they can demand from an ad revenue perspective from their key revenue people. The more ads they can actually issue in between songs, the bigger the prize. That's how it runs.
Oh, that's so funny.
I'm more than happy to help them part with the money that they're not actually using. It's revenue money from the ad companies that they're getting. That's what it is.
I love that you say they don't, because what you just said about they don't do it out of the goodness of their hearts is exactly what I tell people.
Yeah, some of the radio
prizes, and not just on the radio, any prize, anywhere, no one's doing it because they're feeling generous. They're doing it for Facebook followers, or they're doing it to get more ad revenue, or they're doing it for brand awareness, or whatever the reason is, but they're doing it for a bottom line dollar reason.
Some of the radio hosts may like you to think otherwise, that they're doing you the favor, and it's their money, and they're going to help you win. Nothing to do with that. So.
Okay, so now it's funny because I'm going to ask you the same question that I got asked when I wrote my book, which is, why are you willing to give your secrets away?
Good question. Well, I started back to school last year to get my psych degree, so I don't have nearly the same amount of time I used to have. At the end of the day, though, here's the thing. There's over 10,000 AM, FM radio stations in North America alone. And I've only played a little bit outside of North America, so I'll stick this conversation in North America. There's plenty to go around. I have no fear whatsoever that anybody's going to tap in when I do get back into this time-wise of anything at all, because I become very selective. Not that there's anything wrong with winning a set of movie premiere tickets, but been there, done that. Don't want to sound selfish, but when I do have the time, I focus in on prizes that pretty much make it worth my time. Sometimes they can still be small. The other day, for example, my wife's Rod Stewart is coming to town. We've seen all the major bands in the world, mostly through contests. We haven't seen Rod the Bod before. My wife wanted to go. So she said, the tickets are coming on sale, actually this morning. Can you get them? And I said, okay. But the first thing that's going through my mind is, where can I find a set of Rod Stewart tickets? There's Kijiji, there's Ticketmaster, and so on. Oh, well, there's radio. So it took me 10 minutes to find a station that was planning to give them away. We're going in March to see Rod the Bot.
Oh my God! See, I love. We are kindred souls, because that's exactly the way I think. I see something or want something, and the first thing I think is not how can I buy it, or where can I find it, or will there be a discount, but how can I win it?
Yeah, I'm a little frugal. I'm frugal, I think. I could be called, when I was coming up with the title, The Cynical Winner, I guess the alternative was The Happy Winner. I thought, snore, sneeze, that's kind of boring. But it could have been The Frugal Winner. Much of what we do, if we want to go on a trip, we've got our 30th anniversary coming up. Really good chance that I won't be paying for that trip. So
I love it.
But, here's another big thing concerning about giving. There's easily over 100 ideas in the book and so on. With that being said, it's not easy. Very easy, everybody would do it. And it's going to take some time and investment on your part. Not money, but time and effort. And I'll tell you, most people aren't willing to do that. They'll buy the book. In fact, there are some humorous aspects, or at least I've been told there are. And that's how I wrote it, with that intention, the cynical aspect. But you know what? You've got to put the time into it. And if you do, that's how you're going to reap the benefits from it. But most people won't, because instant gratification is what most people are bent on these days. You don't get instant gratification from learning how to win radio contests or sweepstakes. It takes time and investment. And most people won't take that time. Those are the masses of people.
You know what? You're in the fitness industry, so you will relate to this anecdote that I have come up with. I blogged about this several years ago, and I call it January at the gym.
Sure.
Right? So what happens is everyone goes, okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And so they, January 1st comes along and they sign up to the gym and they clear out their cupboards of all the junk. And by the third week, the gym is empty and there's chips back in the cupboard, and the cookies are on the shelf, and it's so much effort. Or I get the people all the time going, well, I entered 3. How come I didn't win the grand prize? And I'm like, well, you wouldn't go to the gym for 3 days in a row and go, why have I not lost 50 pounds? Like, it didn't come off. Like, really? Now, I do have stories about one woman. She entered her very first contest at a local bank and won a car. I mean, it's not, you can't say never. I mean, it has happened on the planet.
Sure.
But it's so rare that, most of us have to put in the effort. So if I came to you as a client and said, okay, I need to lose, my 20 pounds or 50 pounds or whatever it is, you'd have a year-long program for me. And it's the exact same thing. You got to put in the time and the effort and plan it out and look it over, and it's not going to happen tomorrow.
So true. So true.
So can you give us, okay, we know you want people to buy the book, but I'm sure I could squeeze out a tip or two from you.
Okay. How about a tip that's not in the book?
Woo!
All right. I've got a personal reserve of things that are not in the book.
Sneaky.
I'll share you one, and there may be a second book version, obviously, but the Holy Grail in winning radio contests is a long-distance radio contest.
Okay, what do you mean by long distance?
Well, literally having to call long distance because I've got an extra digit to dial out. I'm getting a little bit systematic now.
Okay.
With an extra digit, there is a time lapse between what you're actually hearing on internet radio than when it happens. So you're at 2 disadvantages, 2 strikes already.
Right.
And there's enough strikes on the fact that, I'm from Ottawa. The market is, large, but it's a tenth the size of what, say Chum is dealing with in Toronto. So I'm at a great disadvantage to get through. I talk to Mayor of the Shaw at Chum Radio on a pretty regular basis when I'm into this. Meaning, if I want to get through on the line, I can get through. That's how my mind thinks. Does it happen 100% of the time? No. But that's my mindset. Call it universal attraction, whatever you want. I know I'm going to get through. That's only part 1, though. Part 2, are you the correct caller? Part 3, do you have the correct answer or whatever it is involved with that particular contest? A very quick example. So last year, Chum was giving away Vegas trip tickets, and you had to be the 25th caller. And they picked 5 people, I think, to actually select from to be the winner. In a period of 3 weeks that they ran the contest, I was the correct 25th caller 6 times.
How did you do that?
Now, the bonus is that it's not small change. I picked up $100 each time, and they sent me a $600 check. How did I do that? Carolyn, you have to read the book. But here's my tip to you.
Yeah, I will. It's in the mail.
Here's my tip to you. This is what I mean about being systematic, because people don't plan to fail. They simply fail to plan. So if I have the knowledge and you don't, again, I have improved my odds somewhat, okay? Unless I have a baseline, I can't measure how much, but ultimately I have arguably increased my odds. Here's how you improve your odds slightly towards long distance contests if you're looking to dial Ottawa, knowing there's delays. Every radio contest is connected to a radio clock, and their clock is set to atomic time, such as National Research Council or so on. Everyone has to be on the same timeline. So when a radio station is doing their weather on the hour, half hour, or their news, they're usually 5 seconds either way on, say, 7 a.m., 7:05, or 7 a.m., 5 seconds after, or 5 seconds before. That's how it works. All you need to do is find the delay. Well, it's so simple because you know they're on atomic time, and you know when they're going to say that the news is now coming on and they do it. What is the time difference from your watch that you've also set to atomic time, and you know exactly that they're 25 seconds delayed.
Oh.
Okay, do you see where this is going?
Yeah, so you'd start calling in 25 seconds before.
Well, no, not necessarily, because then you'll get stuck in their buffer. You don't want to get stuck in a buffer. It's, you know, a lot of people are satisfied by literally just getting through to a radio station. How frustrating is that to never actually win?
Oh, totally.
Right?
Tell me about it.
Well, you have to time it. You have to time it. So the extension of that is you need to know how long the songs are. A song usually plays before a contest cue. You see what I'm getting?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's one element where you have to do a little bit of work to plan things out. It's all about planning, really. And then at the end of the day, you're improving your odds. How can you do that? Now, what have I improved my odds from? I don't know. It really doesn't matter. All I know is that my odds are better than yours. No offense.
No, that's awesome. Now you have to tell me, did you win a trip to Vegas or you just got the check?
No, I got $600.
No trip.
I was a happy, yeah, I had, you know, I got through with Mayor of the Shah, I think 4 of those times. And, you know, I chat about her country music career and things like that. You build up with some people a little bit of rapport. They know your voice. They know who's calling. Oh, it's you again. Then they'll get your name, which, by the way, can be a double-edged sword. You have to be careful not to become too much of a, what's the colloquial term?
Oh, I hate it. They call us prize pigs.
I'm not, by the way.
No, me neither, but they still like to label us.
I follow the rules.
Yes.
Everything in the book is legitimate. I make references of people who do not. I could win more if I wanted to, but then I'd be going outside the line of what their rules are, the ethics of it, and so on. And I don't need to do that. So.
Yeah. No, that's not good. Oh my God, that's fantastic. So what is your favorite? Like, you just told us about the long distance. Is that your favorite type of radio contest, or what is it, and why is it your favorite? Favorite
contest, bar none. Favorite contest categories would be trivia/skill. Because
so,
again,
you know, there's one radio station that's something called Mind Grind. So that kind?
Yeah. So let's say, for example, they're asking you some kind of a spellbinding question that's going to cause you to start tapping away on the keyboard to ask Google. That's going to take you time away from you actually dialing through. Once you connect, you don't have time to do that. And let alone, they'll hear you typing away or someone is with you, and they frown upon that. You know, it has happened where all of a sudden you hear a click. They want to get rid of people like that. Okay, so keep that in mind. But suffice to say, if the knowledge is already in your head, all you need to do is concentrate on calling and getting through and doing everything else associated with that. So if I've got the trivia and you don't, I have a time edge on you. That's another check mark in the improving my odds category.
Oh, so you're like a trivia buff.
I'm pretty much a wealth of useless knowledge. One of these days,
I will never play Trivial Pursuit against you.
One of these days, getting onto Jeopardy is going to be the Holy Grail. But
yeah, actually, there's a fella that spoke at one of our conventions, and he's done Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, Jeopardy, all those shows. He is a wealth of knowledge, and because he lives in the States, he's able to get on all those shows. So you should try out, though, because you never know.
So you have a trade show? You have.
There's a annual sweepstakes convention every year.
Oh, interesting.
And yeah, there's a page on my website of the convention lists, and there's not one until next year, but
I should look at that.
Anywhere between 500 and 1,000 sweepers get together, and I know there's a whole room of us. Oh my God.
Well, the other contests that I love, and the one I love the most, are the skill contests. Meaning,
as in skill for like video or like what type of skill?
It can be something that requires, meaning the mass call-in, that's the toughest contest to break through. Because you just have 100,000 people at any given time all dialing through an exchange, and use what tips and techniques you can to be in there. Think of the sperm and the embryo, right? There's only one that gets through ultimately. But from the skill perspective, I'll give you an example. So one contest had world records to compete with. So you had to qualify, do a small world record attempt, and then all of those winners, of which there was maybe 20, got together, and they competed for the big prize. Okay?
Okay.
So if a person, a lot of them require a little bit of athleticism, coordination at the very least. I'm okay in that area. So I tend to do well in that regard. Another one, somewhat skill related, they were looking for the best laugh. Literally the best laugh. And I've got a fairly wild laugh. And you should have applied. You should have applied. You got a great laugh. So,
yeah, I've been told people like my giggle.
Yeah. So, aspects like that require something other than just a mass dial-in. That's what I categorize as skill and/or trivia.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So things that take effort. And I do say that in my book, the sweepstakes that require the more hurdles there are or barriers of entry there are, the better your odds of winning.
Sure.
So, requiring a good laugh could potentially be a big barrier to winning for some people. So, okay, I know what mine is. What is your favorite prize?
Favorite prize that I've won through radio contest?
Yeah. Or no, for anything. We'll open it up. Why don't
my
your
daughter,
favorite radio and your favorite all time?
Birth of my daughter all time.
So that's not a prize. That's a great life event. So's mine. Come on.
I'm lucky that way. Well, money is always nice, and we've been fairly fortunate with many good numbers of money bundles. But the best prize was actually a year or so ago. It's called Desert Trip. Now you'd have to be a rock band fanatic to really enjoy this. So it's called Desert Trip, and what occurred was that if you won, they flew you down to California, the Palm Desert, 5 nights, all-inclusive, top-end hotel. And you got to sit right up front with 80,000 people behind you. 80,000 listening to, there were 3 nights of top bands all playing together. So the first night was the Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan. The second night was Paul McCartney, Neil Young. The third night was The Who and Roger Waters from Pink Floyd.
Wow.
That was, it's hard to package that kind of thing individually. So you have to find that opportunity. And these tickets, just one ticket alone was $1,600 US. Just the ticket to get into the band area. $1,600, let alone the hotel and the food and the airfare and so on. So that's probably the most memorable one thus far. That's
awesome. See, I love prizes that are not necessarily things you can't buy, but probably out of most people's budgets.
Sure, yeah.
And those to me are the best.
Yeah. Now I have to admit, you know what an RX-8 is?
Isn't that a car?
Yeah, it's a 2-seater sports car. So we kept that for 1 month because after we won it, I took it out for a drive, and in 4th gear of a 6-speed gearbox, I found I was already at well over the speed limit, shall we say. We got rid of the car a few weeks later. It was a speeding ticket waiting to happen. So, but by far the Desert Trip prize was the most memorable one.
Wow. Yeah, I love ones like that because to me that's what makes this hobby. It's stuff, I always say it's experiences and things you don't come across in your everyday life. When would you do that in your everyday life? That's not going to be part of your radar. But when you start entering contests, whether it be on the radio or online or whatever, you can win things that just, add to your life in ways that you can't imagine. People you meet, places you go, things you do.
And the nice thing about, admittedly, I'm not into the sweepstake area, but the nice thing about radio is that they want to see winners. They want to hear from winners. These days, they end up seeing you also because you'll be on their blogs or whatnot. But they want to see enthusiastic, happy people. I get a buzz when I hear somebody win a radio contest that sounds down and out. I don't get upset or miffed. I've won enough. I've written the book, told other people how to do it now. But when I actually hear people, they break down, they're very emotional, they're just gleeful as can be, I feel good about that. That's nice to have. So.
Oh, I know. I love it. I heard one yesterday, and they had, they call it the big bag of cash, and they keep opening bags, and if you get too high, you might get the buzzer. And she cut it off, I think just 2 before it would have, blown up or whatever. And they said, what are you going to do with the money? And she said, I lost my job and I'm in between surgeries. And I thought, she said, I'm going to pay bills with it. And I thought, oh my God, she just got a huge relief off her shoulders. That's like the best kind of prize. Like, she can't treat herself at this point, but she's just, and that is huge. That's amazing. I was so happy for her. So yeah, I'm always like, oh darn, I didn't get through. But when you hear who got through and they have a story, it just, I agree with you. It just makes you feel so good.
Agreed.
So any parting thoughts before I tell people how they can win a copy of your book?
Parting thoughts. Parting thought is, please buy the book. I think you'll enjoy it. It's more than just a how-to book. As I say, there's a bit of a cynical take, and cynicism, said the right way, so I've been told, has a bit of a humorous element to it. So I think you may get a chuckle or two out of certain aspects. And other than that, let me know on the reviews on Amazon. There's a bunch on there already, but let me know what you think of the book.
Well, I will. I'm waiting for my copy, and I have a very dry sense of humor, so I think I'm actually going to laugh a lot from the cynical part of your writing. But I'm going to tell people how they can win it. I'm going to do this exactly the same as I did when I had my podcast. So you can just send an email to me at enterme@contestqueen.com, and I'll put the details below with your name and phone number and the subject Cynical Winner. We're accepting email entries until midnight on Saturday, November 18th, 2017, because this interview can be listened to at any time, so you can only enter during that period. Otherwise, just keep checking Amazon for his book. Again, the links will be below. Be sure to subscribe to Contest Queen on YouTube so you don't miss a single episode. I can't thank Mike enough for being my guest today. Remember to buy the Cynical Winner. It's not just available on Amazon. It's also on Kindle and Kobo, right? So you can check all of those links out. And thanks for tuning into With the Contest Queen, where the winning begins.
Thanks, Karen.